Well, hello friends. It's been a while since I recorded anything, but yesterday I found another Swede doing some open source Go, and I thought I should take it for a spin and see what it does, since it is for Azure, and that's what I find the most fun to work with. The project done by Carl GV is called azcfg or azcfg. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Perhaps we can find that in the documentation or not. But let's call it azcfg just to start somewhere, and I'm sorry if I can't pronounce it correctly. My understanding of the project is that we load it as a module in our Go code, and we will be able to read Azure Key Vault secrets and App Configuraion key value pairs through a struct. And it should also be possible to refresh these while the application is running. So let's try it out, see how it works, and have some fun. All right. I'll make sure to link to the project in the description. But let's start somewhere, and just I've created something called a resource group and an app configuration and a key vault. In the key vault I have two secrets, the key vault foo and the key vault bar, and in this we have just two secrets, that is bass and bar, and I've done the same with the app configuration. We have the AC foo and the AC bar. So let's try this out and see what it does. The first thing we're going to do is create a Go project. So we create the main Go file, and from here we should be able to get started. Let's do it that way, and I usually do two functions when I do this. And if we get an error, and we should exit with code 1. And if we have all that, we should be able to do something like that. Go hello world. So that seems to be working. All right. Let's see. How do we use this project? We load it like this, and we create a struct, and in the struct we should put secret if we want to use a secret, and we should put setting if we want to use a setting. So let's just do this from the beginning and see what happens. So we load the project. Let's create something to parse it as well. Let's see here. We create a config, we parse it, handle the error in some way. So let's try that out. And let's return a config object. I'm not sure if we're going to use a pointer. Let's start with a pointer perhaps, or not. We'll see what happens. Something like that, and we need to take a context. And if we, alright, let's do that. Reference and an error. If we get an error, and yeah, something like that, failed to parse the config, otherwise we return config. Perhaps we can do it like this. I usually do something. And then we don't need to do that and that. Alright, so we have a way to parse the config. Perhaps run should take context as well. We should pass background context to it, and let's be good citizens and handle sysint and sigterm if we press Ctrl C. So I think it's something like that. Signal dot notify context and sigint, and this is called sigterm. Alright, and it usually returns the stop, the first stop, and there we go. Then we can get a new config, and if we don't get the config, we return an error. Otherwise we say something, we got the config, yay. Let's start there and just see what happens. Oh, let's download it. And it was recently released as 1.0. Congratulations, Carl. Let's see what happens when we just use it like this without doing anything at all. We got the config, yay. Alright, let's try to load a secret. How do we load the secret? We do something like this. Let's call it Key Vault foo. Set Key Vault foo. And Key Vault bar. Right, like that. And if we're able to, let's see if we can print it. Let's do it like config, something like that perhaps, and let's create it, see what is returned. And I can make sure I've already logged on. Account list table. As you can see, I'm logged on to my subscription here. So that's most likely why it's working. Key Vault name not set. All right, let's figure out how we set the Key Vault name. Set the environment variable AC Key Vault name to the name of the target Key Vault. An alternative is to pass the option with Key Vault to the call parse. All right, let's do that. Parse, and does it take? Yeah, it takes options. Let's see, azcfg with Key Vault and pass it a Key Vault name, and I named it actually created an environment variable here just to store them. So this is the name. So let's pause that. Perhaps make that a bit more readable. Give me a second. We'll do it like this. And perhaps I want to pass it a couple more options in a minute. So let's start with that. Failed to parse azcfg credential, could not determine and create an intra credential. All right, what should we do with the credentials then? Key Vault identity with the least read access. All right, we do have that. I've verified that through. I've verified that I'm able to read it using azcli, the Azure CLI. So let's figure out using both secrets. Yeah. Let's see if we can figure out the authentication. I would like to use like default authentication, so it's using the Azure CLI authentication I already have. Pre-populate, not context and timeouts. I want to look at that later. All right, built-in credential support for service principal. Managed identity, system and user side, and Azure CLI. All right, that's awesome. And we can do the AC identity ourselves. Custom credential handling implemented through auth.credential interface. Let's see here. How do we, with client credentials, managed identity. All right, here we go. Let's do that. So now we enable the Azure CLI credential. Can we do our own to use credentials provided elsewhere, such as AC identity, read credentials? Can we pass it? All right, we could use the default credential here. That's awesome. With token credentials. I actually prefer that myself, so let's do it that way. Let's just create it here. We would most likely create that from the outside. And let's do tidy. Just make sure that we download that. We get the credential. And what do we pass to the default? Right, we haven't downloaded everything yet. Right, we're done. And it's just the options. Let's skip that for now. Let's do with token credential. Token. Auth ops, of course. So let's add that as well. Use auth ops as an option, like that. Save. And then we'll return the error here. Return. Thank you, Copilot. We parse it here. Auth ops. What am I doing wrong? Parse it. Auth ops, pass the cred with a token credential. Let's figure out with the token credentials cred. Why is it complaining then? Options. No new variables on the left side. Oh, of course. Silly me. I can't create error twice. So what we do is we're using the Azure SDK to create the default credential. The default credential usually takes the environment variables first, then workload identity, and then managed identity, and then the Azure CLI. And that's quite nice, because then we would most likely work in most environments. And this is what I would be using for other things, communicating with Azure. So I would most likely have one of these credentials already. And I would most likely pass it to the new config. So perhaps that's what we should do here. So let's create it here. I'm going to create Azure credential, and then we take the cred like that. We pass it there as well. Pass the cred here. Let's see what happens. Let's clean up a bit and let's try and run it. Oh, what did I do wrong? Well, I need to create that variable for sure. And we're running, and we do get bar and bass, so that's awesome. Cool. Let's try to do the same with app config. Foo string, and then it was setting. So app config, so AC foo, something like that, and that. Awesome. And now we haven't passed the app configuration name. Yeah. So azcfg with app configuration, and it figured out the name itself. Well, awesome. And run. So we get app config foo bar, app config bar bass. So we are seeing all the options. That's really cool. Let's do something else then. We should be able to read we should be able to change them and update it in some way. So let's do something like that. Let's just create a method for this. So a stringer cfg config string. Well, that looks quite nice. Let's just try that. Got the key vault foo bar, key vault bar bass, app config foo bar. Yeah, that looks nice. So we've created a stringer for that one. Let's do it like this as well. And perhaps we should just do it like this. Perhaps we should have a tab in front of it as well. Tab. String, not quoted string. New line, tab. New line, tab. Just to see how it looks. Key vault foo. Alright, that looks nice. Now let's see if we can change one of them. So what should we do? Well, we should create a goal. Let's do error group because I like them. G_ctx error group dot with context, and then we can do this, and let's create a ticker. That's ticker time dot new ticker. Let's do that each yeah, let's say 5 seconds. And for select case done, nothing, case ticker, print config, something like that. Yeah, sure thing. And we'll wait and let's try that out. Go on tidy. What happens when we do this? Let's see. Perhaps it doesn't update it automatically, but we'll give it a shot before we do the smarter thing and read the documentation. So let's just change something in here. Configuration Explorer. Pass. Updated. Pass. Apply. Let's give it a couple of seconds perhaps. We most likely need to do some kind of configuration to have it updated in the background. Alright, let's try to figure out what we need to do. Let's refresh. Let's go to the index. Authentication, credentials, national cloud, context and timeouts. Every call to parse requires context. This is the main way. Yeah. For app configuration, setting labels, authentication, built in. Perhaps I was mistaken that it can refresh in the background. Let's figure that out first of all. Okay. Yeah. We have example app configuration. Let's do this the correct way now. With the settings, labels, usage, supported types. Concurrent limit for secret setting retrieval. Perhaps I was mistaken. I really thought I had seen something about this. Concurrency and timeout. Let's pre-populate context. Parse. This is the main way. Perhaps we need to just set that up ourselves. Let's try that if we can't find if it's possible to do using it. All right. Perhaps I just misunderstood something. Perhaps it's just that we can perhaps we can my understanding of the refresh was that compared to something that loads it through an environment variable, like let's say in Kubernetes, you would use CSI secrets driver CSI or something like that, and when using that you would most likely restart the instance, the container, when loading a new one. But this perhaps can be the refresh is possible to do from within the application, because either I'm just bad at reading, which I already know I am, or it's not supported. Let's see. G dot settings timeout. No, I think I have just misunderstood this. So perhaps thing is we can read this config. Let's see if we do it like this. Create the config, and then we do something like this. And then we should perhaps we should use the same, we should use another ticker here, like that. Let's do the for. Let's just return nil, and we should do that over here as well. Just do this. All right. Well, now since we're returning there, we don't need to return over there. Return, yeah, sure. All right. Now we're reading the config ourselves. We should be smart here, so we should do like a mutex here. But no, that doesn't exist. Sync dot mutex, read write mutex, like that perhaps. Yeah, let's create a mutex, and before updating it here, we do write rb just lock and unlock. Yeah, and before printing we do a read lock and read unlock, so we've protected the config. We should be able to do something like that, and yeah, let's try that. And of course we can't do that now. Let's just kill that because I forgot to return in the loop, so that will cause it to hang. Right. Let's do that once more. updated BAS. Let's update another one then. Let's update the Key Vault. This is most likely not the best way to keep these things updated, but it's one way to do it. New version. Updated BAS. Great. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Now we have 2 of them. That's awesome. Let's update all of them just to make sure that it's working as expected. Updated bar, create, and we should see updated bar in a few seconds. There we go. And let's update the last one. Updated bar. Updated bar as well. That's awesome. Well, that's about it from what I can figure out right now. I most likely did a couple of things wrong here, but it was really easy to use and I got started quite fast, and it's dead easy to use. So if you need something like that, I can highly recommend it, because I was able to get it working in a couple of minutes. I can understand that we perhaps don't want to update the config without handling the locking of it ourselves. So if we want to update it while the application is running, we need to do something to handle that for us, making sure that we do locks when updating it. Otherwise, things can go wrong. But I think this is it. Let's make sure that it works to exit. Yeah, that worked now. I'll make sure to upload this test code somewhere, and I'll link that in the description as well. So we have tried out the project azcfg from Carl, and really good job. Fun to try it out, and well, that's it. So thank you for coming this far into the video, and have a great day, evening, or something else. Bye bye.